Hi, it's Martin from Martin's Engine Services. Sitting on the bench in front of me is a rather innocent looking power steering pressure switch, which I've just removed from a Peugeot 206 1.4 petrol 2004. Vehicle's covered around about 76,000 miles, and this little chap here has really threw up a somewhat interesting train of events. Now, the vehicle itself I've known for just over 17 years now, and in fact it belonged to my late mother, and it was then subsequently sold to a family friend. And at the end of last year it developed a few problems. Basically the clutch had gone, I think you need a couple of springs, and they decided to give it back to me as I have a lot of history with it. I subsequently repaired it, and at the time I was one of my regular customers, his daughter, was having a problem with the Kia Venga, which I made a couple of videos on. That was the immobiliser and the car that repaired itself and all the rest of it. And they needed a runabout, so I sold it to them. They're also the same family who had the grey Nissan Micra I made a video about, entitled The Trusty Micra Finally Gave Up. I'm pleased to report that Micra is actually back on the road again now. After I carried out repairs to transmission wiring, and I subsequently sold it to a guy who needed a runabout for somebody, and it's back on the road, re-MOT'd and back in daily use. So it's always nice when that sort of thing happens to a trusty old car. Still, back to the case in hand. So what happened was with this, that the car started cutting out on the in traffic, and every time she stopped, it stopped. Restarted fine, accelerated fine, drove fine. No warning lights on, no other problems. She got home, left it overnight, started next day, ran absolutely fine, didn't cut out again, and no warning lights. So brought it up to me, which is approximately about 25-mile journey, and I plugged it in, see what we could find out. And I was greeted by some exceptionally bizarre and rather curious fault codes. In no particular order: P0904, gate selection position, missing speed signal or missing a signal, oil temperature sensor missing, clutch switch performance, and an EGR position sensor circuit or performance. Now, given this is a manual vehicle, it can't have an automatic transmission gate selection position sensor. The oil temperature sensor is actually broken, but this isn't an emissions related sensor, so it doesn't put the light on. Clutch switch, okay, could be a faulty switch. And of course the EGR sensor circuit performance, when this vehicle is not fitted with an EGR system at all. So I think to myself, this is very weird. So I thought I'd have a look at some live data, see if there's anything interesting in there, and oh boy was there. Went to the Peugeot OE side of the ECU, and here's a few of the interesting data PIDs I got. Coolant temperature sensor was at 105 degrees. Vehicle had been stopped about an hour at this stage, so I think that's a tiny bit high. Outside air temperature was 114 degrees. It was a 10-degree day. And the intake air temperature was at 104 degrees. I thought, something is definitely askew here. So I went to the OBD side of the ECU, and the intake air temperature was 37 degrees, and the coolant temperature sensor, you can see, 51. So, given the ambient air temperature and the time it's stationary, was pretty much about perfect. So, in fact, you probably read the actual reason with the problem there, but I'll come back to that. So I thought, right, potentially we've got an ECU problem here, skewed data, weird fault codes. So I thought I'll start with the simplest circuit, which was the clutch switch. This is a simple circuit, say 2 wires. It's got a switch 12-volt supply going to the sensor, the switch itself, and then a wire going from there to the ECU. It's a simple on-off switch. So you obviously put the clutch pedal down, it joins the circuit, sends a message to the ECU, clutch is going down. So I thought, right, we'll go to the ECU and we'll check the wire. I checked in the wiring diagram, and the wire from this switch goes direct to the ECU. So I thought, right, we'll we check the wire at the ECU, look for bad connections, and if everything's okay there, suspect an internal ECU problem. So, pretty simple thing to take off the 206, and I take off the plugs and out the three, and the first one I take off isn't, I take it off and out comes a load of power steering or transmission fluid, and the plug itself is full up, and so is the part of the ECU where the plug goes in. So I'm thinking, where on earth has that come from? This is most strange. So I thought, right, there's only one place it can have come from, is from the power steering system. But how? So visually, actually I've machined the top of this off to have a look. Visually, no leaks outside the sensor, everything was fine. I undone the plug, and quite a large volume of fluid just sort of splooched out absolutely everywhere, and was actually under a little bit of pressure, which is, I suppose, a good advert for Peugeot's weather pack seals on their connectors. I mean, normally you get sensor, like an oil pressure switch leak, it tends to be around the O-ring where it seals here, but no. So again, checking with the wiring diagram, it was apparent that the wire from here, the sensor wire to the ECU, did not go through any intermediate connectors, and therefore the fluid was pushing under pressure through the core of the wire, worked its way all the way around into the plug, and subsequently filled the plug up. Now, this particular plug has all the critical engine sensors going through it, like crank position, cam position, also the injectors, throttle body, idle control, etc, etc. So of course the fluid in there is now wreaking havoc with the circuitry. So I thought, okay, maybe it's gone into the ECU, we don't know, it's a sealed unit, but what we can do is clean it out. So I washed the plug clean and the connector area clean, everything with electrical cleaner, put it all back together, disconnected our little chum here, started it up and cleared all the fault codes out. No problem at all, ran lovely. The only fault code that returned straight away was the oil temperature sensor, which is now a permanent code, and then it did throw up a code for the power steering switch open circuit. Neither of these are emissions related, so it didn't put the light on. So, say car worked fine, everything seems to be alright. So I thought, okay, looks like the ECU is quite happy. And subsequently, I ordered a switch. They've driven it for nearly a week, so they had a chance to get back to me. Car's been absolutely fine. We did actually put some clothing around this to catch any fluid, and quite a bit came out. But no, it's absolutely fine. The only fault codes were, say, this and the oil sensor. Put this back in, cleared the fault code, it's fine. The ECU seems happy, no problems, and that's it. So this simple little sensor started looking like the car was actually had an ECU failure. But just to show you, sometimes you get a weird one like that. Now I know this does occur because I've seen various videos from America. I watch quite a few of the diagnostic guys over there. Particular favourite is Ivan from Pine Hollow Auto Diagnostics and Eric from South Main Autos. They're two of the great guys, and there's also Rayman Ray's Repairs, another good channels. All those three channels are well worth checking out. And I know they've had problems, say, with oil pressure switches doing the same thing to the ECUs, and I probably thought I'd never ever see it, but there we go. In all its glory, there it is. Still hope you've enjoyed this little video on this week's conundrum. If you've come across this at all, or you've got any thoughts, ideas, questions or anything on this, please feel free to ping me off a message. Also, please like and subscribe. It's totally free to subscribe, and it really helps my YouTube numbers go up, as I'm quite new to this game and I'm looking to keep things moving forward. Anyhow, thanks very much indeed for watching, and bye for now.